What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another brand new video here today. We're back for yet another installment of F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Here today for the Dutch Grand Prix. One that I've been looking forward to myself. This is a racetrack which obviously is new to the calendar and one that I quite like. Before we get into that, we've got a press interview, it seems, to go to. So let's go and have a look-see here, shall we?
Thanks so much for the invitation to your HQ. Let's have a little chat about the team's performance this season. Your team's been picking up points fairly consistently. Do you think you'll be able to become a challenge to the top teams in the future?
Well, that is the main aim in the end, and I think you guys will agree it's definitely possible. We'll keep trucking away at it, but I think we'll get there.
Your second driver seems to be getting much more comfortable with their car. Have you been focusing on their development?
We haven't really worked on Schumacher a lot, let's be honest. But I think Mick's settled in quite well, and yeah, I think he's doing pretty well at the moment.
Would it be safe to say that in terms of team orders, your career comes first in your team?
Oh boy, we're getting the questions thrown at us now. I think it really comes down to who's in a better position to bring home a better result for the team, to be honest. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Do you see your relationship with your second driver being long-term, or will you be looking for someone else if you're successful?
At the moment, there are no plans to get rid of Mick Schumacher to go looking for a new teammate. I'm happy with the way that Schumi's performing at the moment, and I think it'll be long-term for the time being.
What are your predictions for your team going into this season?
Score as many points as we possibly can. We've got to take advantage of every opportunity that comes our way. We've done that pretty well so far, so hopefully we can keep on doing that and bring home some more points in future races.
It's been wonderful to spend some time with you. Best of luck out on track.
Alrighty, so that was something a little bit different. A sit-down interview with Mr. Will Buxton on just our general thoughts about how this season's going at the moment, basically. I think you guys will agree it's going probably better than expected. I think there's only been 2 races where we haven't actually scored points.
Carl probably mentioned the new parts that have come in from the factory. Well, they're all fitted and good to go. I hope they do the trick.
Rightio, thank you very much for that, Jeff. Always butting in right when you're not wanted, so you'll probably never learn. But anyway, welcome guys to practice for the Dutch Grand Prix. That's something that I'm going to have to get used to saying now, as yeah, this track is a very, very interesting one to get used to. Obviously, a lot of fast-flowing corners. Tyres do take quite a bit of a beating around here, and tyre wear I think is going to be pretty crucial, particularly on I'm going to go out on the limb and say the front left, as there's like what 10 right-hand corners or something in this track. I think it's basically like a right turn circuit almost. There's only like 3 or 4 left-handed corners, so yeah, it's fairly well, it's going to be tricky to say the least. But practice was really just about getting used to the circuit. As you can see, that was a real weird moment actually. I'm not too sure what the hell went on there, but eventually we got through all of the practice programs and we end up in, I think that was P7 or P8, something like that. Mick Schumacher, once again, pretty decent first practice for him, but it was at this point that I started to run into a bit of a problem. I wasn't really sure what to do regards the engine for this race, because as you can see, the components are getting on a little bit. Particularly the ICE is, well, it's above 60%, which is pretty bad, let's be honest. The overall wear is only at 50, but you could definitely feel the lack of power from the engine and I didn't really know what to do, whether I wanted to take a grid penalty here for the Dutch Grand Prix or whether I wanted to try and wait until Spain. But we'll make that call after qualifying, depending on how it goes. You've seen just what I've done with the difficulty there, so what we're running and you know, how we're all set up and how we're looking for this weekend. Once again, just before we get into qualifying, huge thank you to everybody who has tuned in for the first 4 episodes of career mode. The feedback has been really good. A lot of people have been private messaging me and you know, just giving me quite a bit of support. So you might not see it in the comment section for the general public to see, but I am getting a few messages privately from a lot of close friends and just general subscribers as well. So you know, thank you to each and every one of you that continuously tunes in week after week, day after day. But anyway, let's get on to the action now, as this is our final lap in Q1. Our first one was actually quite a good lap, surprisingly. Puts us P17. Our teammate Mick Schumacher P19, as he comes out right in front of us there. Luckily gets out of the way, so it doesn't hold us up too much. And you're probably wondering at this point why I didn't just take a new engine before qualifying. Well, I was a bit skeptical too, because I actually felt like we could potentially make Q2 at this race. Now, I know that probably sounds a bit optimistic considering it's a new track. I'm still getting used to it. I'm still getting used to the setups as well. I think this was the first race where I didn't run basically a fully default setup, and I can safely say the difference was absolutely massive. But through the final corner now, we're about a 10.5 up, so this should be around a 110.4. Hopefully this might put us in the top 16 for the moment. We cross the line, and it is P13, splitting Lance Stroll and Kimi Raikkonen. And we'll cut over to have a look at the leaderboards now. Have we made it through to the second part of qualifying for the first time this season? I think we may have, and yes, we do. How about that? So P14 in the first part of qualifying. Mick Schumacher only managing P20, but only about 0.3 down on us as well. So that just shows how close the field was. If Schumacher had have improved by basically 2.5 tenths there, he would have made it into Q2 as well. So a bit unfortunate for the German there to not follow us through, but man, how about that? We're into the second part of qualifying for the very first time, and now we're right on board for our full lap, our one and only lap in Q2. Now, as you can see, in turn 1 there, I actually turned the ERS deployment down to none, as one thing I noticed at the end of our Q1 lap, we actually run out of ERS basically as we were coming through the banking to come to the short run to the finish line. So I wanted to try and make sure that that didn't happen again, and we actually had that full boost of ERS all the way up to the line. And I think we should be all okay to get to the end without running out this time. But as you can see, so far so good. The lap has actually been pretty good. I feel like this is better than our Q1 lap. What's our second sector split look like relative to Esteban Ocon? We are actually up by 0.06 of a second. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but could we potentially threaten Q3 here? This is going to be very, very close. We take the shortest run possible to the line, and the lap time is a 1:10 flat. Puts us P12 provisionally. We get knocked down at the end to P13, however, but that is still nothing to be ashamed of. P13 here for the Dutch Grand Prix. It is going to be a bit redundant, however, as we will be taking a brand new engine for this race, so we will end up back in last on the grid, barring any penalties from the AI, of course. But man, that is still a very, very cool effort from us and from the team. And we weren't even, we were about 0.2 off exactly. So I don't think there was 2/10 in that lap, if I'm brutally honest. But to see that we were actually that close to effectively making it in to the final part of qualifying, that is that's given me a pretty big confidence boost going into this race. Obviously, we're going to have a brand new engine, and well, let's make hay while the sun shines, and let's see what we can do. So back in the transporter now. That's just what I'm going to call it. I think that's what it is. I completely lost my train of thought now. I know there was something I wanted to say, but now I've completely forgotten it. Don't you just love when that happens? But anyway, it's going to be dry for the entirety of the race as well, so we don't have to worry about running on inters or wets, which is nice. As you can see here, we're taking a brand new engine. We are going to get a grid penalty, which is basically going to put us back to last on the grid. But I feel with the general car pace that we had, and obviously with this new engine, I definitely felt that we could fight our way back up and maybe snag another points finish. It's going to be tough from 22nd on the grid. Obviously, Zandvoort is not the easiest place to overtake. Really, the front straight is your best bet, and you've really got to have some horsepower to make that work, which we don't have a lot of, so we might have to be a bit ballsy on the brakes to get some moves done in this race. But I'm anticipating a pretty exciting race here at Zandvoort, so without further ado, let's get into the Dutch Grand Prix.
For years, the passionate Dutch fans have been easy to find trackside at races across Europe and throughout the world. Now, at long last, they have a Grand Prix to call their own. It's a warm welcome once again to all of our viewers in the Netherlands and around the globe as we get underway for the Dutch Grand Prix. Zandvoort circuit, 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with plenty of steep camber and elevation changes to keep our drivers on their toes throughout a 2.6-mile lap. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Max Verstappen and Albon, Perez, Sainz, Ricciardo and Lance Stroll, Norris, Ocon, Pierre Gasly and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen and Daniel Kvyat, Schumacher, Russell, Latifi and Lee. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Alright, so welcome guys to the grid of the Dutch Grand Prix, round number 5 of the season here at Zandvoort. Strategy, wasn't really too sure what to do for this race, to be honest. I'd heard from a couple of mates that soft and medium was possible, but that was with a few tyre wear upgrades fitted, and I think we've only got one fitted on our car at the moment. That might be wrong. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm 99% sure that we've at least got one fitted, but I don't know about 2. So yeah, we'll have to double check that a bit later on. But just before we get this race underway, once again, big shout out, big thank you to everybody who has watched the first 4 episodes of this career mode series. It's been a lot of fun to record and do this. Really enjoying it myself. I'm really enjoying making these and doing these races. It's a lot of fun. It's something different, and it just provides a whole new challenge and a whole new element to career mode. But we've got a pretty big challenge in front of us from last on the grid for the first Dutch Grand Prix in God knows how many years. Here we go. 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here at Zandvoort. That light sequence was held for an absolute age there. But it looks like a pretty decent start. We've already jumped Nicholas Latifi. We're going to send it up the inside into turn 1 on about 4 cars there, I think it was. And up to P17 already. So an awesome start. We've cleared, who was that? Danny Kvyat, Kevin Magnussen. We've cleared the Williams. I think Mick Schumacher as well. Now we're going the long way around the outside of the shocking banking that is turn 3. I think that's right, and correct me if I'm wrong. We get up to P14. We're still trying to attack Antonio Giovinazzi for P13 here, side by side with the Alpha, almost making wheel-to-wheel contact there. He didn't want to give that up, but we eventually get the move done up to P13. We get very loose on the exit there though, and almost completely bottle all the hard work there off the start. Luckily that doesn't happen, and we maintain position for the moment. So a very good start to this Dutch Grand Prix. Coming on to lap 3, we got yellow flags, and that is Carlos Sainz parked up against the barrier there. Now one thing that I did notice, and I'd heard rumours about this happening, well I guess I shouldn't say rumours, but I'd heard from a lot of people that in that corner in particular, and on the exit of turn 1, as we go for a move on Lando Norris into turn 1, he gets the cut back, but we should get this move done. We're on soft tyres, he's on hards, and we do take that position up to P11. But anyway, getting back to my earlier point, I'd heard from a lot of people that the AI, we do see quite a few mistakes from them in this year's game, it must be said. But on the exit of that corner, and turn 1 in particular, a lot of people seem to be noticing the AI losing the back end. So the AI definitely struggling with a few corners around this circuit, it must be said. But into the pits now at the end of lap 12 for our one and only stop of the Dutch GP. 2.7 second stop from the Spiker F1 boys there. Not the best pit stop they've ever made, almost a second slower than their actual best pit stop they've ever made, so not too sure what the delay was there. But anyway, we re-emerge in P20. George Russell directly ahead of us. He's on the soft compound, the tyres, so we'll have to get up and clear him as quickly as we can. Now, I'm not too sure where we stand at the moment once all the pit stops are shaken out. I think we're effectively battling for P11, P12, something like that. Can't say for certain, but we'll find out in just a moment's time here. As at the start of lap 13, there is Lance Stroll as he comes out of the pits. Now, I think he was actually quite a way ahead of us initially before the pit stops, and we have jumped the Racing Point driver there, and he's on hards as well, so we're on medium, so we've got to get the hammer down here while we can. A few moments later though, and that is Mick Schumacher pulling off the circuit. Our teammate is out of the Dutch Grand Prix. What has happened there to the second Spiker car? Let's have a look on the replay. No smoke coming from the car, so just a straightforward engine or gearbox failure of some description. On to lap 18, we find ourselves in P10. There's another yellow flag there, so let's just go and have a look and see what that was. Or we'll go and have a look in a few moments. Sergio Perez and Daniel Ricciardo just ahead of us. As okay, now we'll have a look at what that second yellow flag was for, and it is for Antonio Giovinazzi. The Alfa Romeo gives up the ghost at one of the highest speed parts of the track there. Lucky they didn't dump oil on the rear tyres. But anyway, getting back to us on the lap 24, we go for an almighty dive bomb on Danny Rick into turn 1 there. Didn't quite work. He gets the switch back and gets P8 back. And once again, we have to settle in behind and stare at the backside of this Renault, but we get very loose on the exit there. I will be brutally honest, I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed at this point. I felt like I could have actually gone and chased after Sergio Perez, but we just didn't have the straight line speed to make a move on Daniel on the front straight, and obviously it's just so hard to pass everywhere else around here. But cutting all the way on to lap 34, as nothing really happened. Ricciardo was able to break DRS, but anyway, now we've got our hands full with Lance Stroll as we come to start the final lap of the race. Our front tyres are absolutely destroyed. Stroll just drives right by us on the outside there into turn 1. Gets a little bit loose on the exit though. We're going to try and fight back, but I think it's a bit of a wasted effort really, as there's nothing we can do there. Stroll on those hard tyres, which are undoubtedly in way better condition than our mediums. Valtteri Bottas wins the Dutch Grand Prix here at Zandvoort, so Mercedes with another victory in this career mode. So already things are looking very good for them in terms of the drivers and constructors. Sebastian Vettel sets the fastest lap of the race, immediately beaten by Charles Leclerc. So bit of inter-team Ferrari rivalry there, that's kind of funny. But as you can see there, our front left tyre is absolutely shot. Basically 90% as we come around to finish this race. I had to back it down massively these last 3 laps, as I was actually afraid that we weren't going to make it. Lando Norris closing in rapidly, but that's not quite going to be enough. We are going to come around and up the line from last on the grid to finish P10 and another point on the board.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
A difficult race then on a circuit that demands complete concentration, but they've persevered to take the win here today. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
Alright, so there we go guys, that has been today's video. The Dutch Grand Prix here at Zandvoort, round 5 of my team career mode. This has been a pretty cool race, I must admit. I would definitely rate that as my favourite, probably along with the Vietnam Grand Prix at the moment. Mainly just because it's a new track, one that everybody's still learning. And it's a real fast flowing track. It's a fun track to drive, but championship wise, down to P13. I'm not too worried about that. Still P8 in the constructors, so all in all, another real solid weekend, I have to say. Probably one of the best that we've actually had in a while.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
Yeah, we certainly did. I think we gained, what, like 8 and 9 spots in the first half a lap, I think.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
Well, we're doing pretty well for ourselves at the moment, so I guess we just have to wait and see what happens in the future, really.
Things were close between you and your rival, but it looks like you're coming up top, doesn't it?
We've got the upper hand on Raikkonen at the moment, but obviously the Iceman is no pushover, so we've got to keep on top of our game.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Claire. And there we go, guys. So having a look at the rivalry breakdown, we finally get ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. It's now 14-13 in our favour for the first time, so hopefully we can keep that going, and in a few episodes time I can sit here and say that we have beaten Kimi Raikkonen. Obviously, as I said, he's no pushover, so we've got to keep on top of our game. Unfortunately, I don't think we actually met any of our sponsorship objectives for this race, which is kind of disappointing, to be honest. I felt that we actually would have, but yeah, apparently we didn't, so yeah, that's a little bit awkward, but Anyway, looking at the activity timeline now, we've actually only got about 3 days until the Spanish Grand Prix, so we go straight from one race to another here. And really just looking at what to do. In the end, I decided to do a market strategy type thing. I actually clicked on that quickly. I couldn't actually fully make out what that even was. Yeah, I need to remind myself of that in future. Don't click and scroll through things so quickly. So when I'm actually recording this, I can actually read through everything and I can actually see what's what's on the screen. But anyway, just having a look through everything at the moment. Mick Schumacher, his contract comes up for renewal. I think it's around about the Austrian Grand Prix, so about 4 or 5 races time maybe. So better make sure that we have a bit of money put away for that, as I really wouldn't be too keen on losing Schumacher, as yeah, I think he's doing pretty well at the moment. So yeah, that's I think we've got a good setup at the moment, and I really don't want to take my chances by kicking Schumacher out and bringing in somebody else who might not even perform as well as Michael is at the moment, or as Mick is at the moment. I get those two confused, I don't know why. But anyway, that's it from me today, guys. Hope everybody is well. Hope you've enjoyed today's video, the 5th daily upload in a row. Hope you guys are enjoying these, because I'm sure loving making them. But you guys know what to do if you enjoyed. But until the next one, I'll see you all later. Have a good one, y'all.